Alright, we're back and it's time to mix up some mud, some plaster Paris quickset, which is a hardener. It hardens in 10 minutes between the coats. I've got regular mud in this pail and I've got plaster Paris quickset in this pail. We start by making a donut with the regular mud. So with my 4-inch knife, I will pick up the mud and load up my hog. I want enough in this pie to do all 3 coats on both those patches. So we'll make sure that the pie is big enough to accommodate that and not have to make another pie. Here's a little bit more mud. I'm going to make that do the trick. So, upside down we go, and drop it down on the table, and clean the hawk off. Now, I just flatten this out, just like a pie, and clear the center like a donut, right down to the board, right down to the plastered up board here. And once I have it cleared, then I'll add my water. So, here I am, getting rid of everything else on my hot. That's it. There's their donut. Now, this is just regular water. It doesn't have to be drinking water. Anything will do. I'll put water in here, and I'll put a 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch of water into this pie so that it doesn't explode the banks. The mud keeps it inside, the water inside these banks. So, we're done with this for now. With that in place, I open up this bucket. This has got powder in it, and I got a little scooping bucket. Then I'll put this powder, which is a hardener, right in the middle and dissolve it in the water. So back to here again, we'll keep loading it up because I want the water to dissolve the plaster so that it all turns gray. But I don't want so much plaster in there that we have dry chunks, so it does have to lose itself right into the moisture. So with my little finger, I'll spread around the dry powder on the top to push it into the edges where the water will soak it up and get it to turn all gray. Now with this spread out evenly, if we give it a few minutes, it will soak up. That plaster will get soaked into the water. And I'm going to go to my patches now with a roll of tape. Here's my tape holder, and it is paper tape. So I'm going to latch this to my belt. We're going to pre-measure these while this is doing its soaking. We'll pre-measure the pieces that we need for these 2 patches. Let's start with the little one, and we'll just place the pieces on the floor as I cut them away. It is paper, so it's simple. It looks like 3 rows of tape will do the trick. So we'll go straight across with 1, 2, and 3. So that's the length. Put 1 on top of the other, and 3 of the identical length. These are ready to go. So we'll just set those down for now. We'll go around to the back and pre-measure those pieces of tape too. So, here we are on the other side. Now we do have these bigger holes to deal with, so we'll make sure we have a piece of tape for that one, a piece of tape for this one. Now we'll make sure that we have 2 upright pieces, identical in size, 1 and 2, set them there. These go from side to side, 1 and 2. We now have all our tape ripped and ready to go for these patches. So I'll go put my tape roller back. We'll go check out that plaster Paris quickset mix, and we'll take a triangle, a piece of the pie, to start plastering our first coat. It has dissolved. I see one little dry spot in here, but it has dissolved in there well enough for me to go ahead and start mixing. So I take a triangle, a piece of my pie. The amount of plaster I need is just enough to glue down all that tape and get the first coat on. So this should actually do the trick here. So back and forth mixing it up, a little back and forth with the knife until I'm convinced that it's all mixed thoroughly together. Now what happens with this plaster, it stiffens up, this type of plaster that I'm using. As the 2 mix together, it gets a little stiffer. It tells me when I have the mix done properly. And it's getting really close to that now. In some cases, you have a beige mud that you can use. It's a CGC beige. It'll show the 2 different colors, and it'll show the 2 colors come together when they're ready. So, with this mixed up and ready to go, now I load up my hog with this mud. And that's just a matter of pull, and like a suction cup, I pick it up. And I'll clean it right down to the board and take all this mud off the table. and we'll go back to our patch. Now, on our patch, I will pick up the 3 pieces of tape that we first cut. Lay them on the board face down. There's a crease that's pointy, and pointy is the part that has to go against the wall on your piece of tape. You'll notice if you look at it closely, you probably won't notice it here. So with this loaded up, there's 3 pieces loaded up, 8 to 1/4 inch thick. Now I take a piece at a time and lift it into place. That goes there. Now I'll flatten this piece out. Very nice, it's all flattened out. Little drywall patch there. And another one, and go with the next layer. So we'll push that up like that, and I'll flatten it out. And then I'll take a 3rd one. It's buried in here too, and that takes care of that. This way here, the mud sticks to the paper. You don't have to worry about the holes. You don't have to worry about it bubbling, because the paper is the mud's behind the paper to glue it down. That's the first coat on this patch. You've got miscellaneous little holes here and there. Don't know if they're nails. Yeah, a couple little nails. I'll just remove them. Very strong fingernails. Okay, there, a couple little spots here. We might as well just fix them up a little bit. Another nail. Now let's go over to the patch on the other side. We've got a little bit more tape to work on there. So come around to the other side, get the first coat on there. There's probably about 5 minutes left of time in this batch of Quickset before it hardens on me. So load that one up. There's a small piece of tape that takes care of that hole. Flatten it out. Clear our area on the hock. Take the next piece of tape. Load it up. 1/4 to 1/2 inch thick. 1/8 to 1/4 inch thick. And then over this hole. Right here. Now hold it with the hock on one end and I'm plastering it the other. Vice versa. Hold it down to this end and pull the opposite way. That takes care of the holes. Now reorganize my mud on my hock, and we'll grab the next 2 sizes, which is the top and bottom piece of tape that go across. So lay these into place, load my mud up on both of them. They're completely covered, nice and thick, and now we'll bring that into place. With your fingers, you can bring it up into spot. There we go. The other one. Trying to keep my fingers clean, into spot. Now, again, I'll hold it with my hock at one end and flatten out the other end. Hold at the other end and flatten out the other end. This way here, the tape doesn't move around on you. Same deal here. And these patches, or these pieces of tape are in place. Now our 2 last pieces. These are a little bit longer, so I'll do one at a time. Here's one. Load it nice and thick and bring it over this crack at this end. Very nice. Hold it at the bottom, push up. That pushes it into place. Hold it up and then smooth it out. So there we go. We'll do our next piece of tape and we'll load it up nice and thick too. Alright, and bring it into place. There we go. So, flatten it out here. Hold the bottom, flatten it out there. Okay, now the inside. This tape sticks up further than everything else. So what I'm going to do now is we'll do a pre-fill to flatten this out before the next coat goes on, since we have so much plaster on the hock right now. And it hasn't hardened on me. So I'm going to go get my big trowel and we'll give this a quick coat just to fill in and complete that first coat. This is a 5 by 16 inch trowel. Not everybody gets them, but it makes this job a lot easier. So how you use these? Gravity. Here's your hock. Put it upside down. It's not going anywhere because it's already a suction cup. Take your trowel and load it up with mud. Come to your patch. When you lay the trowel down, it leaves the mud there. I just did a load up. I'll go this way, I'll go this way, and this way. Now, you will see bubbles in this patchwork from it lifting on the first coat. These are the bubbled areas because these are the repair areas. Once it hardens, those bubbles will disappear. That's all we're going to do to that patch for now till it hardens up. We'll scrape away any defects in that particular coat before we begin our next one. Now I'll go around to the other side and just do a little pre-fill on the patch that I did over there. Well, it's flattened out pretty good, but this is, because we have the plaster, we might as well pre-fill it. We can kind of see the tape through it, but this just helped flatten it out. Now the bubbling area is still there, but once this layer hardens, we scrape away that little bit of bubbling area in there before we begin the next coat. I'm going to unload this plaster Paris. We'll come back and check when it's nice and rock hard, and take another piece of our mixing board and do our second coat.